today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. I'm sure most of you have heard by now that the World Boxing Council have now made Devin Haney a champion in recess and upgraded Alberto Puello from interim to full WBC champion. They have also ordered Puello to defend his title versus top-ranked zone Sandor Martin. Next, with Gary Antoine Russell as the mandatory for the winner.
Why champion in recess?
Maybe it's because it sounds a lot better than stripping him of the WBC title for non-compliance. He was under orders to face Sandor Martin, and he had no intention of doing that. This is a more diplomatic solution. He's a champion in recess, though I would hardly call it a recess, because I don't think he's coming back to 140.
Devin was busting at the seams to make 135. I think he was just busting at the seams to make 140, only 2 fights into his 140-pound campaign.
He's taking the rest of the year off. By the time he returns, I guarantee you, it won't be at 140. He won't be able to make it healthy. He could barely make it now.
Imagine in 10 months. Imagine in a year.
He's getting away from things, and all the people in the sport of boxing that for some reason are giving him a hard time due to what is Ryan Garcia's positive test.
They're making him out to be the villain.
So now Alberto Puello, who is aligned with the PBC, he's WBC champion, though I don't know for sure that the fight between him and Sandor happens on the PBC side of things. It might happen on the Top Rank side of things.
Before we got here, Top Rank won the purse bid for what was supposed to be Haney versus Martin. Now it's Puello versus Martin, and we'll see if they want to pay for that fight.
It's not a good stylistic matchup. Do you remember how I told you that Haney versus Martin was a dud? Well, stylistically, so is this. So is this fight. Alberto Puello and Sandor Martin are both boxers and both movers, both jabbers.
Not punchers.
The probability of this fight ending in dramatic fashion due to a dramatic knockout is very, very low.
Alberto's a little bigger, a little longer.
But they are both defensively minded fighters. To win the fight, somebody's going to have to show some offense. You guys can't spend the whole fight playing keep away with each other.
And this is what I mean.
Stylistically, this is not a hot ticket. Stylistically, this is not a good fight unless somebody decides to step into their punches, come forward, and show some initiative. Take it to the other guy. This could be a very boring night.
Boring fight.
Gary Antoine Russell seems to be getting a second chance in spite of coming off of his first professional loss to Alberto Puello, who was just elevated to full champion. They've installed him as mandatory challenger.
Which is what the fight with Alberto was for. That's literally what that was for, and he lost.
So for losing to Alberto Puello, he gets a mandatory slot anyway. Wouldn't it have made more sense to just go down their rank standings to the next highest ranked contender, which is Jack Catterall, who's coming off that big win over Josh Taylor? I think he did more to deserve being mandatory challenger for the WBC title than Gary did in losing to Alberto.
I think.
But the WBC is gonna WBC, and if you're familiar with the WBC, you know what that means.
All of this, a byproduct of Devin Haney's departure from the 140-pound division and his plan to take the rest of the year off.
The loss to Ryan Garcia has been overturned, but that doesn't mean that the damage
And the demons.
he's going to have to wrestle with that for the rest of the year. Buy more ugly clothes and ugly shoes.
First things first is good in terms of the speed that the New York State Athletic Commission have dealt with it. Again, this is only my opinion. When you kind of accept guilt behind closed doors to do a deal, things can get wrapped up a lot quicker. I think it's a smart thing to do because I don't think they wanted to really battle the case or prove their innocence, really. So it's a year, it's really not that long a time. My worry more is what happens during that year to Ryan Garcia. No contest, 100% the right decisions, that's great for Devin. But Devin still has to put up with the ghosts of that night and going through that beating against the man that had performance-enhancing drugs in his system. Could have been badly injured in that fight, you know. More importantly, Devin's also looking now going, how do I not get the money? Do you know what I mean? We had a fight where we both got paid. You battered me. You had performance-enhancing drugs in your system, and your promoter gets given the money. Where's mine? Do you know what I mean? He's dead right.
Eddie Hearn mentioned Ryan Garcia accepting a settlement agreement behind closed doors. The same Ryan Garcia that posted these two tweets to his Instagram account.
Via Combat O'Daly?
Combat O'Daly said the New York State Athletic Commission has now come under heavy fire on Monday. It has been leaked by one of the labs that Ryan Garcia's initial pre- and post-fight urine tests conducted by them initially screened negative for aspirin. The New York State Athletic Commission retesting Mr. Garcia's negative sample after failing VADA's is a clear violation of New York state law. This would be the equivalent of a suspect being found not guilty. Then the DA's office finding a new jury with a new set of guidelines to find them guilty.
Is that the way it is?
No, but you can leave it to Ryan Garcia's supporters to tell the story that way, to spin that yarn. The story was better elaborated upon by veteran boxing scribe Thomas Hauser.
What really happened?
The Garcia matter exposed holes in the New York State Athletic Commission's drug testing protocols since the commission's own fight night test on Garcia's urine came back clean. How could that be? Because to save money, the commission sent Garcia's urine sample to Quest Laboratories rather than to a WADA-accredited lab. And Quest doesn't test for aspirin.
You understand that?
Quest doesn't test for aspirin, so it's not that Ryan's samples were actually clean.
It's that Quest didn't know what they were looking for.
They don't test for aspirin. Later, the commission arranged for a WADA-accredited lab to test its Garcia B sample, which came back positive. Positive for aspirin.
If you don't like the sound of any of that, and all of it sounds sketchy to you, remember one thing.
Ryan Garcia's legal team are not contesting the findings from either VADA or the New York State Athletic Commission. Their explanation for all of this is that Ryan inadvertently took tainted supplements.
Contaminated supplements. Contaminated with aspirin.
When you kind of accept guilt behind closed doors to do a deal, things can get wrapped up a lot quicker. I think it's a smart thing to do because I don't think they wanted to really battle the case or prove their innocence, really.
That's what it all goes back to. That's what it all boils down to. That before you get it in your head that either VADA or the New York State Athletic Commission tempered with Ryan's samples, Ryan isn't contesting what they found.
His lawyers are not contesting what they found. That's why they didn't try to fight it.
Their explanation was the aspirin they found in Ryan's system came from contaminated supplements in an effort to get him a reduced suspension. In the end,
It could have been worse.
it could have been 2 years from the looks of it. It could have been 2 years instead of just one. But he had to accept a settlement agreement that costed him $10,000,
The state maximum.
a little over $1 million forfeited to his promoter, Golden Boy Promotions,
He had to give up his fight purse.
and adhere to randomized anti-doping testing for the duration of the suspension.
This is what they had to settle on. Behind closed doors, this was the best they could do. So where they were hoping for less than 6 months, they got 10.
Backdated from the day he fought Devin Haney, which comes out to a year. 1 year.
This is what he agreed to.
Now, why would he agree to that if he supposedly cleared his name?
It's because he didn't.
And if we are to look at this and believe that both VADA and the New York State Athletic Commission are setting him up, then why is his legal team the one saying that the aspirin came from his supplements?
You basically cop into the rap.
You're saying he didn't know that there was aspirin in the supplements, but that's where it came from. That's what you're saying.
Either way, it all means the same thing. He's still suspended. He's still liable.
If you want to go manufacture conspiracy theories to make him look innocent, knock yourself out. But that right there kills it.
You're copping it a rap.
You're the one saying it came from contaminated supplements.
That's what he's a victim of.
Normally doesn't do expensive tests, but obviously once Garcia tested positive, they then took their sample and tested it, and Garcia was in fact positive for Ostarine, and that means that at least one additional positive drug test than was previously disclosed.
That's where the issue is, if you even want to call it that. This was previously divulged by veteran boxing scribe Jake Donovan.
I think it was Jake or either Ryan O'Hara, one of them.
That this was a rare situation where a VADA test would go head-to-head with a New York State Athletic Commission test, and this could determine whose testing methods are more comprehensive. Needless to say, VADAs are more comprehensive because they have a better idea what they're looking for, where the New York State Athletic Commission, for cost purposes.
What is cost feasible?
They don't spend as much time and attention and money on anti-doping tests. That doesn't rank in very high on their priority list.
Thus, you can imagine what this looks like to Ryan's supporters, all of those basement dwellers and hermits, conspiracy theorists, latching onto almost anything they can think of to make him seem innocent.
When all it really is that the New York State Athletic Commission cheaps out on anti-doping tests, but upon further review, yeah, Ryan's samples had aspirin in them.
You don't want to believe that?
Then you explain it. If all of this is a clandestine effort to set Ryan up, why is Ryan's team saying that the aspirin came from his supplements, what he was taking at the time, that they had it sent out and they had it tested and there were traces of aspirin in it?
In the NutriBio, in the Body Health.
Why would he be copying to the rep? There is some plausible deniability. They're saying he didn't know.
But that's where they're saying it came from.
Why would they say that if you're supposedly being set up?
Because he's not being set up, and you guys are idiots.
The simplest explanation is usually the right one. So what's the simplest explanation? That all of these separate entities all joint together and converge
To set up little old Ryan.
or that Ryan is just another dirty boxer like a lot of dirty boxers.
This is hardly an isolated incident.
You just want to pretend like it's different because it involves a fighter that you like. But what you like and your personal preferences, they don't even come into it, and they don't establish innocence or reason to give Ryan the benefit of the doubt.
Get out of here.
You people are stupid. And that's what I take away the most from all of this. How gullible and stupid so many of you are.
You would have to be to believe Ryan.
But that's how your minds work. You're always looking for something to believe in.
Like a little kid that still believes in a tooth fairy.
A Santa Claus. You think King Ryan is innocent. He would never.
I like Benavidez. I think he's a good fighter. How good? You know, Godzic is decent. You know, he's strong, old. I don't think Benavidez is a 175 fighter. I don't think he beats Beterbiev. I don't think he beats Bivol. But I think he's very hard to beat at 168. I think that's where a lot of his advantages come.
I don't think David Benavidez is a good fighter.
No.
No, I don't agree with Eddie Hearn. I don't think he's good.
No.
I don't think he's very good. I think he's very big. And that services him well at 168, but at 175, well, you saw what happened. You can pretend like it was a master class and he looked amazing in there. You can do that. The commentators did during the fight, and so did the judges that scored it.
Land of make-believe.
Because there's no such thing as biased commentating, and there's no such thing as biased scoring in the sport of boxing. Unheard of.
What?
But if he did so well at 175, why is he going back to 168 with his tail between his legs for a fight with Canelo that he's been saying would never happen?
Because Canelo is scared.
David Benavidez's team have made it clear that their priority remains to fight Canelo. His promoter, Samson Lukowicz, has said Benavidez would be ready to get back into training and take the fight in September.
Oh, so you're going to go back to killing yourself to make 168?
After you did so great at 175? Why? I thought Canelo was afraid to fight you. I thought he would never take that fight. Isn't that what you were saying when you were doing the rounds on all of those podcasts? And isn't that what you have been saying for well over a year now, that Canelo doesn't want to fight you? So you tell me, why are you prioritizing a fight that you say Canelo doesn't want?
I have a standing bet with a big David Benavidez fan who guaranteed me that David would prioritize the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol after Vajdik. But look at him. Look at what he's doing. He's going back to 168.
David Benavidez looked weak. He looked weak at 175 against the 37-year-old Vajdik, who he could not discourage, could not deter. He didn't rattle him, he didn't buzz him, didn't knock him down, certainly didn't knock him out, didn't even come close.
Nothing.
That's why he's going back to 168. Because if you couldn't have it all your way with a 37-year-old Vajdik, you're not beating Bivol.
You'll get tired before he does. You did with Alexander Vajdik after 6 rounds, and you're the young one.
David Benavidez is known for his high output well into the later rounds of a fight, his ability to wear down and wear out his opponents over time. Battle of attrition, as it were, at least at 168. At 175, you could see he was slowing down after the 6th round. You could see he was gassing out, breathing heavy, wasn't throwing as much.
When he did throw and when he did land, it had no effect on Vajdik.
David doesn't beat Bivol. He does not beat Dmitry Bivol. He is too basic and too weak.
Frail.
And forget about Artur. Artur knocks him into the next century.
Chump.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes to bang with the big boys, the cream of the crop at 175, and he knows it. That's why he's going back to 168 to keep chasing a guy he said doesn't want to fight him. Then what are you doing? Aren't you wasting your own time?
By definition, categorically, if you're saying that Canelo has been running from you, then why are you still after him?
Because he's scared. He's scared of the guys at 175. I hope he gets the Canelo Alvarez fight, and I hope he gets it as soon as September. I've held off on talking about Canelo Alvarez's stories and Canelo Alvarez's news and rumors.
All of that!
Anything pertaining to a William Skull fight, an Edgar Berlanga fight, a Benavidez fight.
All of that!
Because I'm bored. I'm bored with the subject. I want David to get the Canelo Alvarez fight. I want him to get it in September, as soon as September, because if he's stupid enough to drop back down to 168 by September for Canelo, he's gonna lose.
After fighting at 175, to drop back down to 168 in that kind of time frame, that don't do him no favors.
But Canelo is still the priority. That's what they said. That's what he wants. So have at him, cowboy!
Because you ain't beating Bivol, we know that. You'll get tired before he does, and you definitely ain't going the distance with no Artur Beterbiev. You're not good enough. You suck. Did you see what Jim Lampley said after the Vajdik fight? Did you see what he said? That David Benavidez would be the underdog in a Bivol fight. And he couldn't have said that based on how great David looked with Vajdik.
This is the same Jim Lampley that not that long ago said David could make it as a heavyweight. I think he changed his mind.
Yeah.
How's he gonna make it as a heavyweight when you don't like his chances against the light heavyweight? Not even a very big one, because Bivol ain't that big.
You go back down to 168, and I hope you get what you want.
I hope you do get the Canelo Alvarez fight. Though if he doesn't, who does he fight while he's down there? Or does he take the rest of this year off so he can wait?